Hello everyone, this is Stephen Balch, instructor for Legal Environment of Business at Ozarka College. Today what I'm going to do is kind of give you an overview of this course, just kind of a short introduction to this course and what the expectations are for this semester. I'm going to kind of hit the high points of the course syllabus. I'm going to try to keep it where it's not too long of a video, but I do want to kind of go over some kind of key items that will get you into the right start for this semester. Okay, so first thing is, some of you know me from taking some of my other classes in previous semesters, but some of you don't. So like I said just a few minutes ago, my name is Stephen Baltz. I've taught this particular course several times over the 27 years I've been here at Ozarka. So I do have quite a bit of experience with this course and the expectations and the outcomes and so forth. And I really enjoy teaching this course. This is definitely a very valuable course for those of you that are going to go into business and have dealings in business like contracts and so forth. You're going to learn a lot of things that will help you in your future career. I'm looking forward to that. And so the very first thing here on the course syllabus is, you notice that I've got my my information there, my contact information, of course my phone number. Now I'm on the Mountain View campus, my office is on the Mountain View campus, and I teach on the Mountain View campus, so just kind of keep that in mind. Some of you that are on the Mountain View campus will have a chance to come by my office if you need to, and it does show my office hours there. But for most of you, actually looking at it in a practical way, those of you that are on other campuses probably won't be able to come by and see me in person. So the best way to contact me if you have a question about the course during this semester is really to use course mail over here on the left-hand side of the page, where you see all these navigation links. Course mail is what I'd like you to use if you have questions about an assignment or whatever it is. If it's course related, go ahead and use that course mail link, because that way when I get your message, it will have your name. It'll have the course that it's a question about, and I'll be able to get back to you a lot more efficiently and effectively that way than if you send me a message through, for example, my general Ozarka email. If you send me a message that way, I may not, depending on how your email address is set up there, when you're using the Ozarka email, I may not be able to tell who's sending the message, because all it's going to have is your personal email address on there. So I may not be able to get from that who it is. And so, like I said, the best way is to use course mail. That way I know exactly what course it pertains to, who the student is, and I'll be able to get back to you a lot more effectively and efficiently. Okay. Let's see. So that, like I said, there's all my contact information. If you need to meet with me through online means, like through Google Meet, we can set that up. Just let me know ahead of time and we can set that up. It's not that big of a deal. But like I said, course mail is probably going to suffice for most communication during this semester. All right. So right below the contact information on the syllabus are three categories there, or topics that are very closely related, which are course description, rationale, and outcomes. So I'm going to kind of cover those all at one time. Basically, in this class, we're going to learn about the legal aspects of business. We think about business, we think about selling a good or service to a customer, dealing with suppliers, dealing with customers, dealing with employees. Well, there are laws that pertain to all those dealings with all the different groups, constituents that we have, that we need to deal with to operate and run a business successfully. And that's what this course is going to teach us is um, uh, how do we make sure that we're doing things in a legal way so that we don't get into legal troubles and have lawsuits. And we want to limit the number of lawsuits that we have, obviously. We want to make sure we're doing things in the right way. And part of that is contracts. Businesses deal with contracts every day. For all those different groups of people that a business deals with. Again, employees, suppliers, customers, obviously, and there are rules and guidelines and laws that deal with contracts, how to set up the contract and what it needs to include and all the various things. In addition to contracts, we'll also look at dealings with goods. Goods change hands on a regular basis in a business, and there are laws that pertain to, for example, who is responsible at a particular time if goods are damaged, that kind of thing. We'll also look at commercial paper because and debts and creditors. Businesses have to issue credit all the time in order to keep their business going, in order to have that money to put back into the business. And so we'll look at debts and creditors and commercial paper. We'll also look at how we solve remedies, or what are some of the things that we can do to solve business disputes. What are the remedies? If it goes to court, there are certain things that the court looks at as far as remedies for any kind of legal situation that we've gotten ourselves into as a business. Okay, any kind of like breach of contract, things like that. We'll also look at federal regulation. There are federal regulations for every business that every business has to abide by, whether it's how much to take out of a paycheck for an employee to give to the federal government as far as taxes. How to set up a business or let's say a factory to make sure that we're not polluting the environment over a certain amount. There are various regulations that we have to abide by as a business, and so that's something else that we'll look at. And so because the legal aspect of business is extremely important, that's why this particular course is extremely important when you're trying to earn a business degree and kind of get an overall view of business. We want to make sure that we have the understanding of what the legal implications are in business, and that's what we're going to be learning about in this particular course. So just look over those first three items there, and just let me know if you have any questions. All right, the textbook that we need for this class is shown on the next part of the syllabus there. It's called Law for Business, 19th edition. Shows the ISBN number there. This is what the book looks like, okay? And just make sure that when you go to the bookstore or you go online to get your book, whatever source you use to get your textbook, make sure you take this information with you, and especially the ISBN number. Double check, triple check the ISBN number to make sure you're getting the correct textbook. If you're having problems finding the textbook either at the college bookstore or somewhere else, let me know that, and we'll see what we need to do to get you the textbook. All right? But make sure you get your textbook as soon as possible. You're going to need it for the first set of activities, which are going to be due next week. So the sooner you get your book, the better. All right. In addition to the textbook, obviously, since this is a online class, it's an online class, so you're going to need to have reliable computer and internet connection. Okay, so that should be obvious to you. But anyway, okay, so that's the required materials in the textbook. Like I said, let me know if you have questions about that. Methods of instruction, I'm just going to let you read through that. It's just the standard methods of instruction that you're going to see in a lot of concepts-based classes. And so I'm just going to let you read through that. I'm not going to bore you with reading that to you. All right. Next item, which is important, very important for our class, in any class, is the evaluation procedures. So I'm going to hit the high points of this. Basically, we'll have 5 things that will comprise our grade this semester. We'll have assignments, discussions, chapter test, a midterm exam, and a final exam. So in each one of those, you'll notice that I've got listed here shows a percentage next to it. That percentage basically is how much of your overall final grade that component is going to be a part of. So, for example, assignments will represent 26% of your final course grade. Okay? So just let me know if you have questions about that. And I'm just going to kind of let you read through the rest of that evaluation procedures. Make sure you spend some time looking through this, because this is probably one of the most important items on the syllabus, because it's going to determine how your grade is going to be calculated at the end of the semester. So this is something that I know all students want to be able to understand about any course that they're taking. I know when I was in college, this is one of the things that I always wanted to know on the first day of class was, okay, how's my grade going to be determined in this class? What am I going to need to do to make a good grade in this class? So make sure you spend some time on that. I don't want to read all that off to you, but you do need to read that on your own and let me know if you have any questions about it. All right. At the very bottom of the evaluation procedures section there, I've got a kind of a subcategory there called Artificial Intelligence AI Use Policy. This is something that's kind of relatively new that we added last year to all of our syllabi at Ozarka. And this is basically, each instructor's got a different kind of way to set up their policy, things that they're looking at in their particular course, and the amount of use of AI that they're going to allow in their course. And so this statement here is my version of that. And so I want you to spend some time reading through that. Basically what it says in a nutshell is that in this course, you can use AI. In fact, I encourage you to use AI to learn more about the concepts that we're covering in the course. But you also need to understand the limitations of AI, and also that AI should not replace you learning the concepts in the course. So you can use it to enhance your learning, but don't use it to replace the learning, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. So just read through that. Let me know if you have questions, and I will be happy to answer any questions you have about that. All right. Next item on the course syllabus is the grading scale. That's just the standard grading scale that you see in most classes. So I'm not going to spend any time with that. It's self-explanatory. Just look at it. Let me know if you have questions. Makeup policy is the next item. Now, this is very important. Basically, in this class, my policy is that I try to give you plenty of time to complete and submit each set of activities. And so, in my mind, I really don't want to allow makeup work unless, now there is a caveat here, unless there is an extenuating circumstance. If there's some special circumstance that you think I should consider and allow you to make up work, just send me a course mail. Let me know the exact details of what's going on, and I'll be glad to work with you in most cases. But it's going to be on an individual basis. I'm going to have to evaluate each case and see what's going on, and kind of make my determination for each individual case. But just in general, just keep in mind that I do not allow makeup work just in general. There's got to be some kind of special circumstance to convince me to allow that. Okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. Academic integrity, just kind of read through that. The main thing there kind of goes back to the AI. Make sure that whatever sources you're using, or if you're asking another student about a particular assignment, make sure that you're not going so far as violating academic integrity. There are certain things you can do and certain things you can't do, and it's all explained in that section there. But basically, whenever you turn in something for this class, it needs to be your own work. It doesn't need to be some other student's work that they shared with you. It doesn't need to be directly off of the AI. You need to at least put the information into your own words, okay, so that it's your own work. All right. So just let me know if you have questions about that. And then the last several sections of the course syllabus are self-explanatory, and they're going to be the same for all your classes. So it's not anything unique about this class. So I'm going to let you just read through that. Let me know if you have any questions. And let's see. In addition to the syllabus, I also wanted to show you the activities page. Now, you'll notice over on the left-hand side of the page in Miles Arca, you'll see there's several navigation links. And the very first one is the activities link. And that's the one that you're going to interact with the most during this semester, okay? Because that's going to have all your assignments, your tests, your whatever, everything that we're going to do that's going to comprise your grade this semester is going to be available on the activities page. And you're going to submit it on the activities page as well. So let's go ahead and click on activities. And you'll notice everything for the semester is broken down into weeks. So right now we're on week 1, obviously, and the only thing that we have, we'll have a couple of things under week 1. We have the Getting Started link, which when you click on that, all that is I provided some resources there, like the schedule, the syllabus, and a link to the textbook. Those are things that you'll want to look at just to kind of get you started in this semester, and that's why it's called Getting Started. But there's not really anything to turn in for that, but mostly you just need to make sure you've read through the syllabus and understand it. If you don't, let me know. The only other thing that will be due this first week is the Introduce Yourself discussion. And most of you have already done this, but basically if you haven't done it yet, you'll need to click on that link, and you'll see my original post there where I introduce myself to the class, and then I tell you that you need to introduce yourself to the class. Tell me, for example, obviously your name, where you're from, maybe your major, what your educational and career goals are, your hobbies, your interests, things like that. And then I will reply to each of your replies. And then also during this process, I will share some more information about myself as well. So this is just kind of a way for us to get to know each other a little bit, since this is an online class and we don't see each other face to face. This is kind of a way for us to at least get to know each other a little bit. All right, so that's the only thing that's due this first week. Let's go back to activities. Now, the first set of activities from the textbook will be due Tuesday of next week, which is August 25th. All right, so 1 week from today. So you've got about a week, basically, to be working on chapters 1 through 4 activities. So, to complete each of these activities, you just click on the link for each one. It'll give you all the instructions that you need, and then you'll submit those activities by Tuesday, August 25th. Now, as you're working on those activities, if you have questions, send me a course mail. Use that course mail link over here on the left-hand side and send me a message. Now, when you send me a message, be very specific on what problem you're experiencing and exactly what question it is that you're asking. It's not enough to just say, okay, I'm having problems. I need to know exactly what problems you're experiencing before I can really help you effectively. So be as specific as you can be when you send me a course mail asking a question, okay? And that way it'll just make it where I can get back to you and answer your question a whole lot more timely and efficiently and effectively, all right? So that's really all I have for you for today. And so enjoy the rest of your week. I hope everybody has a great semester. I'm really looking forward to teaching this class this semester. And as we go through the class, you'll learn a little bit more about me. I'll learn a little bit more about you as we have the discussions and so forth. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to it. So everybody have a good rest of your week, and I will talk to you probably sometime later next week. Thank you.